Hello, welcome everyone. Hello, so welcome to the Taos Institute webinar series, Pulsating Practices, Constructionism in Action. And I'm Alex Arnold. I'm the executive consultant for the Taos Institute. And I just want to welcome you here on this morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And we're very excited to have this presentation today. If you are not familiar with the Taos Institute, we are an online virtual nonprofit organization, and we promote social constructionist, relational, appreciative ideas. And we do so in many different ways. So this webinar is an example. We have courses and workshops. We also publish free downloadable books. We have over 90 books in our series, and they're all available on our website. We also have an online community, the Taos Institute Commons, that hopefully you have visited already. And that's where most of our resources and announcements are. So I won't take more time than this. I will pass it on to Ken to introduce our facilitator today.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, it's my great pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Jong. I think he's probably known to most of you. He's certainly been around the Taos Institute for numbers of years, and we have loved his presence here. Been a stalwart figure in organizing and communicating, particularly in the European scene and particularly in appreciative inquiry. Joep is both an international consultant on appreciative inquiry for organizations large and small. He's been taught in universities. I think for me, most of all, it's been within these small gatherings that I've gotten to know him and to appreciate him so much. Although he has done an enormous amount of work in sort of contributing to organizations and leadership, especially in terms of appreciative view, the most interesting part of his work for me is the way in which he's expanded that appreciative orientation to encompass almost a life form, play out its implications for what that would mean if you take those assumptions and build them into the way we practice life. I've seen that in his video work, which is just truly exceptional. If you have a chance to see any of his videos, they are real works of art. But then I know that he's also been involved with painting and dancing, and singing, and living out the possibilities of appreciation. I'm not sure, as I look at the scenery there, whether you're still living on a houseboat or not. But I'd like to know. In any case, holding space for appreciative life is the topic today. Look, yep.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for this introduction. And yes, I'm on the houseboat right now. I don't know if I turn my screen whether you can see the water. So this is, but I actually really live on a sailboat these days. So I'm here. I still own the houseboat where I'm now with my partner Hanne, and that's where I'm calling in from now. That was actually an overwhelming introduction, and you made me aware, Ken, that I have been doing many things for a long time with appreciative inquiry, and also based on the work you have been doing around social constructionism. And I guess one of the things that has been triggering me, and this is what you said. I mean, I had a long career in business. I worked for companies like Apple. I became the global director for learning solutions for British Telecom. I became the CEO of a consultancy organization. But I guess one of the things that has been like a threat in my life is you do these things, but maybe there is a question is, why do you do these things? And sometimes it just comes on your path. I mean, in the 80s, I got a phone call from Apple Computer, and they said, we have seen and heard about you. We would like you to join us. I mean, I'd never planned to work for Apple, but it became a wonderful time. But I guess there has been a question, and I don't know how that is for you who are here now. Well, the question is to why. Why am I here in this world? And not only why am I here, but more essential to me anyways, is what is the gift I have been given or that I have in this life and that I'd like to find? Because if I think I know that gift, I can be of service to the people around me. I can not only be in service to the people around me, but I can also be in service of our communities, and I can be in service actually of this world, this beautiful world that we have. And one of my attractions to the Taos Institute, and I don't know how that is for many of you, or maybe most of you, is that as Ken has written about extensively, it's all about relations. It's all about relations. And I guess that is the only way we can find our gift. I mean, of course, it requires, as Ken pointed out, I mean, I think I've been blessed with a good set of brains. I've been, I think, also making good use of it. But what I found at the end of my career in business is that I had only expressed myself in a kind of limited way, and I searched only for my gift in a limited number of spaces, primarily being my head. And in 2013, when I resigned as a CEO of a consultancy organization, I decided that that it would be good to explore other areas, the singing, the dancing, and it was like a young child that I felt like a young child because I had to start from scratch. Probably as a young child, I could dance and could sing, but the social constructs that I lived most of my life in, businesses, kind of prohibited me from exploring those areas. And then in 2013, I decided that it was time to get out of my head and to sink more into the rest of the system, exploring the other relations I have with life. So that's how I came to the singing, to the filming. I wholeheartedly support Ken's suggestion to look at some of the films that I made for a PhD that I once attempted, searching for the soul of the appreciative leader. And those are freely accessible. So I highly recommend you take a look at these people, because they, in my view, have been searching for their gift as well. So when I talk about what is this searching for the soul of the appreciative leader, I'm actually looking for gifts as well. And to me, that's the core of the session that we have, is to learn more also from you in the exchange and the conversation that we have, that how have you been trying to find this unique gift that we all have? I'm convinced of that. I'm sure of that we all have, and how to make, let's say, the best use of that. And how did you engage with others? How did you engage in the relations that you have to create this this understanding of what is it actually that makes you tick? What is, if you want a different word, not only your calling, but what is, or what is not only your gift, but what is also what may be your calling. Or I've been working recently with the work of Peter Koenig, who uses the word source in this respect a lot. But there are some things that I managed before we send you out in breakout groups to explore the questions that I will formulate in a second. this is still work in progress. But one of the things that I found was that that it helped to slow down. I guess there has been some writing by a Belgian professor. His name slips my mind at the moment, but Cornelissen. His name was Arnold Cornelissen, who wrote a very interesting book around the turn of the century called The Delay of Time. And he said one of the things that we really would need to explore in order to find out who we are in relationship, is to slow down. And I guess we all know that, but our time is demanding something different from us. Actually, our times today are inviting us to speed up. And even for a topic like this, which I guess if I just would be sitting with any one of you, we could probably take a day. We decided that we have an hour, whereby I got the gift from the Taos Institute to say, well, if necessary, we'll continue at another session. And I once did this with Celiani and a session, and we indeed, I think, had 2 follow-up sessions. So if we feel a need to talk more about this, to slow down, I know we have the opportunity. So slowing down is a key element, and one of the fundamental questions for me also in this whole process of trying to live this journey of finding your gift, is the fact that the question is, what is it really that we're looking for? Because the gift sounds so easy, and I've been practicing here in the sense of what are the core ingredients that I need in my life. I mean, I can't see, well, I see some of your rooms and backgrounds. I am astonished by what I all collected over the years. Now I'm going on 72, but it's remarkable how much, at least I have collected, and I think many of us, if you look at our bookshelves. And I had a very dear friend of mine who unfortunately passed away last year, Vera Hoffman, and she coached me, and then she said, you know what, you really should try, and I think that will help you on your journey to find this gift or this calling, what is really essential. And I embarked on the journey of trying to decide what are the 5 items. I mean, and it could be 10, it could be 15, and if you want, you can take 50. But what are the key items in your life that, no matter what, you want to take with you, whether it's on a journey or whatever? And I come to find that people have completely different ideas on that. But to me, what it boiled down to was that these items all represented something that had to do with being seen and seeing the other. And I guess that is also what I guess I'd like to invite you to do when we go to the breakout rooms, is to see if you can find and remember the situations where you say, I felt seen and I saw the other. And I think that is important. Anyways, to me, it's important because when I'm looking for my gift, for my calling, I need the other. I mentioned earlier on that being in relationship is so important. But we cannot, I'm convinced that we cannot find our calling on our gift when we're not in relation. So we'll have to honor those relations, as they will help us to discover this calling that we all have, which will serve us both in relationship and, as well as said, in trying to bring about a world um, that I would say is more peaceful and more respectful. So what I'm inviting you to do, and what I'm going to invite Alex to do in a second, is to create breakout rooms where you'll meet probably 2 other people. So it's the 3 of you, and focus on the questions. The 2 questions that I'd like to put before you is, how do you manage to slow down in your life? To slow down and find the time to search and to look for things, to find the time to be really in relationship, to be open, to feel seen, and to have the time to see each other, because you cannot do that. At least I think you cannot do that when you're in a rush. So how do you slow down? And then what in relations help you to find this calling, this gift that will, when you implement it in your life, makes, I would say, life in a way easier, more meaningful, and at times, I need to say this as well, also more painful, because when you have those meaningful relationships, and a partner or a friend falls away, I mean, then that is also like you're losing one of the witnesses in your life. I wrote about that in the introduction. So what is the essence of the relationships that help you find your gift? So those 2 questions, I'd like to send you out into the breakout rooms. And then I know that we are already 15 to 20 minutes on our way, but let's take 20 minutes for that. So that should give each of you, after a brief introduction, the time to talk about this, albeit brief. And then we come back at, let's say, 20 minutes to the hour, and we'll spend the rest of the time on to see what you found. And what we can learn from each other, and what questions there may be. So, Alex, if you can send us out into the breakout rooms.
You're ready, and you should all see the rooms open.
Have fun.
Um,
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a good time. I see something incredible happened, that the number of participants is higher, Alex, than when we started with the breaks, but that's good. So we have some maybe late participants. I see many familiar faces now. So welcome and love to those that I know, and welcome and love to those that I don't know yet. What I would like to ask is to spend some time now on hearing back from the breakout groups, because there is learning and growth in everything, they say, and I think particularly in the sharing of what happened in your group. So who can I invite? Because I don't know what groups were there. Of course, I can address some of the people that I know and ask them, but I'd like to open the floor and invite you to share. some of the findings of the gifts that you found during your breakout?
One of the things that I'd like to share is, when you mentioned relationships, I immediately went to people, and the two people I was lucky enough to have in my group both brought up nature and being in relationship to nature, to specific plants and trees, and one of my cohort said that he reads poetry to trees, and I just think that the idea of you don't have to connect to something that talks back to you. There's more.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that, Josh. Actually, in our group, we had Alex talk about her working with horses. So, yeah, wonderful. Thank you for that. Who else can I
Actually, I can
invite?
just add to that one. I've started thinking about talking to the planets.
Say more, Suzanne. Nice to see you here, by the way.
Thank you. Well, do you know, a few years ago, there's a scientist in the UK that you might have heard of called Rupert Sheldrake.
Yeah, of course.
You know, he did a lot of work on the metamorphic field and the telepathic communications of animals.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, he wrote a paper called Is the Sun Conscious? And that really got me thinking. And I just thought, oh, we need to change our constructs. And then when I think about astrology, people are they're changing the constructs of the planets, because to some degree, many of the planets that we've known for a long time have been constructed by these Greek Roman fables. And there might be nothing to do with those planets, and they just got overlaid on them. So anyway, and there's newer planets being discovered that are being given identities that come out of much more sort of creative, traditional, indigenous traditions. So it's really lovely to hear more about those too.
So, and Josh, this question also goes to your group, but also to you, Suzanne. I mean, how, and in which way has this maybe helped you to get closer to what it is that you might call your calling on your gift?
Go on, you go, Joss.
Okay, I think it helps take away a little bit of urgency, and it can kind of put you on like a different time scale. Like a tree's on a different time scale than us, a planet's on a different time scale than us. Um, and there's wisdom in looking at that, I think. And there's I don't know, it's a rich space.
And that space helps you to get a better understanding of who you are, and therefore maybe your gift. Is that what I hear you say?
I am interested in having a greater connection with nature. For me, right now, I would consider my gift to be being an artist. And that's kind of what I feel has put me in touch with most of my personal community. And then also, I just, going to see art can be a very sacred experience for me. Of course, this is the Taos Commons, and one of my favorite set of paintings is in Taos. So nice coincidence there.
Yeah. Well, some people say there are no coincidences, but yes, anyways, it's nice that you see the link. And Susanna, how is that for you then?
Well, just thinking now, I think it's just expanded a sense of purpose. And I think that it's become a purpose to connect with Gaia, our planet, and in all the changes that are going on. And it can feel very, I don't know, it's not very easy to describe or talk about, but it feels to me that I can make a tiny contribution by doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from others? Because there were more groups than just the ones with Josh and Suzanne.
If I could speak from our group, Paul brought up the notion that time is in fact a construct. And that I think spun us all off into another thing, but I was actually thinking of how that fits with thinking about some thing other than human beings. I live in an intentional community, and there's a lot of attention to the natural world around us, and growing our own food and that sort of thing. My husband Rick spends an enormous amount of time in his garden, and I say he spends time, and yet now I have to think about garden time. So it's not really Rick's time anymore. It's garden time, and what is the growing season and the requirements that he manages out there. It's like just another world for me to think about, and I appreciate that coming up from Paul. You're still here, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So, but then again, Thomas, the same question I asked Susanna and Josh. How does this bring you or your partner closer to what is the gift we bring to each other, to ourselves? Because I really agree. I guess in our group that was the same, and I found one of the most healing experiences and peaceful experience was that I mentioned it, I think, at the beginning, that my partner Vera passed away last year, and we have created a fruit forest, a garden for her, and I attend that, and it's one of the most healing experiences that I can recall. To me, it brings me closer to understanding that holding or having a peaceful space is key to how I interact with people. And indeed, time is then an interesting concept. I mean, I didn't mention it, or it wasn't mentioned, that I also work for ESA, the European Space Agency. And we now have discovered, I think, together with NASA and this Webb telescope, that it's going to take about 4 billion years. I cannot comprehend how much that is, that the galaxy of Andromeda and our Milky Way may collide. I cannot even imagine anything there either, but it sounds impressive. And but I'm here now, today. I'm searching for my gift and the gifts of others. So how does the gardening for your partner and nature help you?
Oh, it's just love. I mean, we love each other. He loves the garden. I love playing bridge. I love the people here in our community. But it is the sense of loving the things around me. It is the gift that I want to pursue. I don't have a handle on it very well, I'm sure, but it's always been in the forefront of what I want to look at. And he loves his garden, and I just have to appreciate that that's what he loves. And I don't love his garden, but he does, and he operates on garden time, and so therefore I do too. And it's wonderful for me to love him enough to think, isn't it great that he has that? And I think he loves me enough to think, isn't it great that he gets to go play bridge 3 times a week?
Is it in those activities that you really see each other then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else would like to chip in? Because I'd like to hear more voices. I guess one of the things with appreciative inquiry is that we would like to hear the voices in the room. And I know that it's kind of impossible to have all the voices, but
well,
I'm sure there is
I'll
more.
jump in.
Yes.
And on this theme of nature, My daughters make fun of me because I'm a little obsessed with ospreys. And ospreys in where I live in the Northeast of the United States, they come to us in the late March, early April timeframe, build their nest, mate monogamously, come back to the same nest, mate with the same partner, God willing, and start a family. And then they leave. They all migrate to different places come September timeframe. And I'm at that chapter in my life where my daughters are migrating. They're fledging. And they're not leaving permanently, which I can go back and forth on how much I want that to happen or not. And I love that nature is showing me that nothing is permanent, and that some patterns will repeat themselves, but that doesn't make them permanent. And so there's something about paying attention to that bird that makes me feel like the nurture in me gets to love on something. And Thomas, to your partners, so gardening, there's something you get to love and watch and admire, no matter the other changes happening.
So how does this help you, and I guess and Tony and your daughters, to discover your gift? So what it is, and by gift and calling, I think it is what I'd
like to think I'm a nurturer. I'm most joyful and alive when I can see the light shine or something else's person's purpose come out brightly. If I can be of any assistance in asking the right questions to guide that awareness, that path, I'm in.
I know you are.
Anyway, that's me. Welcome the floor for other people.
Thank you. And did that emerge also in your group? I don't know who you spoke to, but
I was with Mo and Annie, and we didn't really talk about nature. But Mo, I'll turn it. I don't see Annie right now, but I know she's with us. I can see her in participant list. Go, Mo.
Yeah, I had put out an intention that Jen would show up in my room, or Marge, or Suzanne, and Jen popped in. So that was delightful, and it was wonderful to meet Anne. I think what we came up to, the three of us, was that we were going through some type of transition, and so time was taking a different meaning. Like like you, I am already 72, so I'm ahead of you, but
okay.
And I'm in a rewilding stage versus retiring, kind of reinventing what I want to do. So I think for us, we talked about, and Anne is going through a somewhat similar stage. So that was kind of at the beginning when we were talking about, where are we at? And I think for all of us, it was like our own little. Jen, how would you describe where we kind of landed? It was an interesting mosaic, and then it kind of came together as a little bit of a painting about what is time and what is it like to be a woman at this time, and how and I had just written a post this morning on LinkedIn, which is new for me because I'm not a writer, and it was all about the idea of coming together with amor fati, and the whole sense of Socrates and the explored life. So those were kind of some of the things that that we kind of played with a little bit. What is that explored life? And Anne talked about the fact that there's so much emphasis sometimes put on us about what that should be. And it's that social construct of what it is. And so it was nice to really kind of, I saw us just moving back and forward as we shared some of our stories in our life. And so that's, and for me, how I find time is I've turned the word positive to PAUSE, positive. So I try and every day make some time for myself. So that was just some of the thoughts that I think that we explored. But it was so wonderful hearing Jen talking about this stage of the girls who we've known since they were born. And then for Anne talking about what it's like to be at this stage where you're letting go your identity of who we have been for the last 30, 40, 50 years.
But isn't that, I mean, that I find intriguing, Mo, I guess, in the sense that, because I think I find it intriguing because I recognize it. We have been living in all these constructs. And I guess what happens to me when I'm in relationships, and with Ken, we just had a conversation in our breakout group whether they always need to be profound, but sometimes it's just being with people and just being, and you can be who you believe you are. At least you can start to question your own constructs. Like I heard you talk about retirement. I believe that was a construct that was important, and it's a silly thing. It's something we created. By the way, a large part of the world doesn't even know what it is, but it gets in the way. At least I feel it gets in the way of helping me to find who I am through meaningful, not always deep, but in a way meaningful encounters.
Yes.
And encounters can be with nature, it can be with animals, it can be with the world around us. And as long as you see that and you are being seen, I guess that is, anyways, to me, so important. And that's why it's so wonderful to see people here that I know, who I would love to have a conversation with. And I see you smile, Jean. I mean, it's been too long. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Mo.
Oh, thank you very much, Joep. This is Luke speaking. Together with Ken and Alex, we are organizing these pulsating practices. And the hour has run very fast, Joep. So I think I want to thank you for this experience of social construction. So in a way, I think with all your wisdom, we together constructed wisdom together.
Yeah.
And I would like to summarize just a few sayings from our audience. I made some notes just to remember all this wisdom. So you were challenging us as the audience to talk about our call or our gift. And what I find very interesting is that we can find this gift or the call by being in relation with the other or being in relation with the otherness. So it's very interesting that Josh was talking about there's more than relationships than just talk. And then we came into this nature thing, the environment, which also plays a role. Suzanne, you were talking about the sun and the consciousness of the sun. That inspired me also a lot. Paul, time is a construct, and then more get along with time in a different phase of life, looking at time again, reconstructing life again, giving new meaning. I think that also is changing in life. It's not static, but it's changing in time, in your life phase, but also in connecting with other people, I think. Thomas, I like your talking about gardening, like almost a metaphor for feeding this call, I think. Gardening, the gift, it's not just happening, but I sense that you all are putting energy in it. Having a peaceful place is very important to find this all. And Jenny, you were talking about also very important things about your relationships with your daughter and in your life phase. I have the same experience, letting go your children, finding a new role as a father or as a mother. Who am I when these children are suddenly out of the house? And just to finish it, it all has to do with love. That was also something that came out from you, Jen, but also from Thomas. And I think love is connection, I think. So that's where it starts. We were born in relationships, born in love, I hope. And so it's great to end with this saying, I think, there's always something to love. So thank you for this, for today, for this pulsating practice. I will give a short word to Alex, who will say some practical things. I wish you further a nice evening or a nice afternoon, and see you next time. So Alex, do you want to close? Thank you all.
Yes, thank you for joining, everyone. So this has been recorded, and the recording will be available in the Taos Institute Commons and on YouTube. So feel free to share it with those who couldn't come or your colleagues and friends. And we also invite you to check out our self-paced course if you want to learn more about social construction. So I'm putting the link in the chat. And we also have our next event, which is a dialogue with the author, and that will be in August. And it's on the topic of relational justice. So we hope that we can help us spread the word and hope to see you there. And thank you again for joining us. Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments. This space is really for you to stay connected and share your own resources and questions and ideas. So thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you all, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Joep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.